This is Heart-repreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart. With your host, Terri Levine. Listen every week as Terri tackles the topics that will help you become a successful heart-centered entrepreneur. Be sure to read the blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog. Come back often and add this show to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri and on Facebook.com/Heart-repreneur Terri Levine. And now here's Terri.
Hello and welcome to Heart-repreneur Radio and TV show with Terri Levine. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant, and I'm excited to be here today. You can connect with me, Terri, and other like-minded heart-based business owners in the Heart-repreneurs with Terri Levine Facebook group. So go check it out. And we hope that you find value from this show. So please do subscribe, like our show, and we always love those 5-star reviews. Today's quote: thought leadership happens when you're willing to have your brand stand for more than what you sell. Seth Price. Today's show topic is branding and sales, how branding is the fuel to pour on sales to make it explode. Our special guest this week is Curt Mercadante. Curt helps business owners deliver the right message to the right clients so they can generate the right revenue. For 24 years, he's counseled small business entrepreneurs, as well as some of the largest corporations and associations in the country. He's built 3 profitable businesses, including a 7-figure PR and ad agency. Curt has trained, coached, and delivered keynotes and workshops to clients across the globe. He is a Gallup-Certified Strengths Trainer and a certified human behavior consultant, and author of the best-selling book, 5 Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle. Curt and his wife, Julie, currently live in Sedona, Arizona with their 4 children, following a year of traveling the country on a freedom lifestyle adventure. Welcome to the show, Curt.
Thanks so much for having me, Velma.
So, I haven't been to Sedona yet. That is on my bucket list of places to go. You know I should be starting with what it is you do for a business, but I just have to ask you about this freedom lifestyle adventure.
Yeah, in my bio, you mentioned I had a 7-figure PR and ad agency. Well, back in 2017, I woke up on a Tuesday morning and I had had enough of it. And for years, I wasn't being an epic dad, an epic husband. We have 4 children. I was 60 pounds heavier, anxiety attacks, and I had been in denial about it for a while because the money was good, right? I actually felt guilty that I wasn't fulfilled. Like, hey, I'm a guy. I'm just supposed to put my head down. Fulfillment is for sissies, right? Well, I woke up on a Tuesday morning. It was Thanksgiving week here. I was supposed to have the week off, and I kept getting, hey, Curt, we know you have the week off, but hop on this call, get us this report, yada, yada, yada. I woke up that Tuesday, and at peak revenue, I fired all my clients that day and shut down my company. And so it's been a journey since then. I started over with this company. I wanted to work with people and businesses that actually cared. I've been working with large corporations and trade associations that just throw money at likes and views and clicks and all this stuff. And I wanted to work with the backbone of our economy, which is small business owners and people who really care, who are working to move themselves forward and find their freedom and fulfillment. So that's what I help them do. And as part of that journey in what year is it now? In 2020, we decided to sell our home, almost all of our possessions, anything that didn't fit in our van or in a 5x5 storage facility. We donated it or sold it, and we hit the road traveling around beaches, mountains, beaches again, desert. And we didn't know much about Sedona. It was on our list. We'd heard great things about it, and we got here, and it's just magical. I mean, it's the red rocks. It's just crazy. And we got in a state of flow. And so we've settled here, and it's just really kind of amazing. It's the desert, but it's at like 4,500 feet. So you actually get some snow in the winter. It doesn't get too hot in the summer like Phoenix does.
Right.
And it's just a wonderful place.
Awesome. So what I just heard is actually that the quote that I picked for today is pretty darn appropriate, because it sounds to me like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Your leadership happens when you're willing to have your brand stand for more than what you sell. So you're standing for more than just the service you bring, just the product that you bring. You're standing for way more than that.
Yeah, and I think that's important. You know, when you talk about brand, if you line up 10 people and ask them the word brand, you're going to get 10 different answers. But a lot of people will say, well, your brand's your logo, your brand's your color scheme, your brand's your website, right? And like you said, and Seth Price in that quote, it's about something much deeper than that. And, you know, Simon Sinek, he's got a quote that says, people are going to buy from you because of your why. And with all due respect to Simon, listen, I think your why is important. Having a clear vision for where you want to go is important. Your why is why you do what you do. Get you out of bed in the morning. However, clients aren't going to buy from you because of your why. They're going to buy because of their why. And
Exactly.
so that's why I talk about the 4 pillars of an authority brand. The third pillar is alignment. And it's alignment because you align your why with the why of your customers, because your potential clients, they may love you as a human being, have empathy for you as an individual, but the minute you ask them for money, they want to know, what's in it for me? And if you can't speak to that and speak to what they want, not necessarily what they need, because we're so smart, right? You walk up with a potential customer, like, I know what they need, and I'm going to force feed it. I call that verbal vomit. Hey, I'm gonna give you bells, whistles, features, resume, experience, how wonderful I am, etc. And they want to know what's in it for them. So you got to align your why with their why.
That makes a lot of sense. I know that for myself, I end up connecting to people who have a similar why to mine, because there is a connection there, and I am aware of the fact that I can't market to the whole world. I wouldn't want to work for the whole world. So I've kind of settled into allowing that to be part of my brand. So I'm actually a Y certified professional. So I do help people connect to the why they do things the way they do them. And my why is to contribute. My why is to make a difference. And so given what I do, I end up connecting with a lot of people who feel that same way on a certain level. I actually find that they all have that why in their top 3 whys.
Yeah.
Every single time. So it is, I think it's important to know your why, but I agree with you that you need to speak to your clients and your potential perfect clients the way they're going to hear it.
Right.
You want to talk to their ears.
Yeah. You know, like Elon Musk sells a lot of Teslas to people who don't necessarily care about being green or sustainability. And he doesn't, you know, he was recently on, he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast a number of times, but I listened to one he was on in the fall or earlier this year. And I mean, he's been in there a bunch of times, 3 hours. He rarely talked about the environment. When he talks about it, he was on a show with Jay Leno with the new Cybertruck, and they were driving in his new Cybertruck. And you know what he talked about? Bulletproof glass. He talked about going 0 to 60 in 1.7. He talked about the robot car, because he knows that if he walked around with sandals and a ponytail and stereotypical, hey, I'm talking about saving the world and green, he wouldn't sell the cars, because he's talking to what he thinks people need and his mission, his why. But he aligns it because a lot of people want Teslas as a status symbol. And because he speaks to that, he gives them what they need. He's fulfilling his why. They're buying it because of what they want. You align those two together, and Tesla is one of the most valuable brands now in America.
Well, and it's very smart. It is very smart. I know I had the opportunity to test drive a Tesla during our environmental week here in Canada, and would I love to drive a green vehicle? Absolutely. That is something that I think about. But I got to tell you, it was the way it went like stink that I fell in love with.
Yeah, yeah, right.
So, and that
Yeah.
ended up speaking to my emotions and not my mind.
It's,
So,
your why, when I share that about, with all due respect to Simon Sinek, some people think I'm downplaying it, and I'm not. I have a book, Five Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle. And one of the most important pillars is vision. And it's having that vision for your life, not to spend your life waiting, for your vision, but like starting right now, what kind of life do you want to live? And, my vision is to help individuals unleash their creativity so they can live lives of freedom and fulfillment. I don't sell that, though. However, by helping people build their authority brands, by helping people communicate the right message to the right clients so they can generate more revenue and the right revenue, they're allowing their creativity. I mean, when you build a business, every business starts out as a thought. That thought turns into an idea, and your business is the manifestation of those ideas. And within those ideas lies your authority, because you can have 10 competitors. You can sell almost the same product, but how you communicate that product based on your ideas, how you serve your clients with that product is entirely unique. Otherwise, just fold up shop and go home, right? It's like, well, I have competitors. If you're in insurance or financial services, why even sell? Because your uniqueness is going to help when you align your why with your client's why, and that's why they buy from you. They're not going to buy from you for the product and the bells and the whistles. It's that, there's that know, like, and trust factor that comes from your authority and how you communicate that.
Okay, so you've mentioned two of your four pillars, and that was vision and alignment. What are the other two?
Yeah, well, actually, vision. So I have two things. Five pillars of the freedom lifestyle. So vision was for that, and that's more for yourself. But then I have four pillars of an authority brand. I'm confusing the two and going back and forth.
Okay.
But in the four pillars, the first pillar is attention. And I start with attention because it's the most obvious. If I didn't start with attention, people would think I was crazy. But if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to see it, did it actually happen? Well, it's the same thing. If you have a business, but no one knows about what you offer and how you help your clients, unfortunately, too many business owners start with attention and stop with attention. I got to get more likes. I got to get more views. I'm going to spend 6 months working on my logo because that's the key to building my business, and I often joke that, okay, great. I tried to take my likes, views, and shares to the bank to deposit them, and they wouldn't take them. So attention is the first piece, and that's important. But actually, with my clients, we work on that last. What we start off with is accuracy. And this goes to the point of what you mentioned. And accuracy is knowing very clearly, very radically, very aggressively, who is your ideal client persona. And most business owners don't know that. And it goes beyond industry and job title. It's person, because all sales is P2P, person to person, whether it's B2B, B2C. When I had my agency, I worked with a lot of large trade associations, and I knew generally kind of the sweet spot trade association I worked with. But if you line up 10 trade associations, I could tell you the two that I was going to focus on based on the person making the hiring decisions or the decisions of agency they're going to hire. So I have 5 pages of questions we get into with our clients. I mean, it goes to mindset, even goes to politics, goes to do they have a family or do they not have a family? Are they 25 to 30? Are they 45 to 50? There's different mindsets, especially depending on what you're selling. So we get really accurate and we look at that person we discussed before. What do they want? What do they want from you? You reverse engineer that with that alignment, which brings us to the third pillar, which is alignment. What do they want? And when you align your why with their why, you put together a 1-sentence impact message that speaks to the positive impact your clients get from working with you.
Mhm.
And I like to say definition of a business is making a positive impact on the life of someone else. I mean, if you sell golf balls, you may not think you're making a big impact, but there's some people that golf is their outlet. Golf is a mental health activity for them. You're making their life better in some way. So whatever you sell, and it's not only from a branding and sales standpoint, how wonderful is it to get out of bed in the morning thinking, instead of, well, I got to get out of bed and I got to spend my day begging people to reach into their pocket to give me money for a product or service they may or may not want. And that sounds like I'm exaggerating. There are people who do that, who get out of bed in the morning and their mindset is, I'm going to take. Well, when you're aligning your why with their why, it's about giving and it's about providing value. And you speak to that all the time. And when you speak to that on a regular basis, day in and day out, consistently, truthfully, factually, that brings us to the final pillar, which is authenticity. And there's a lot of talk about authenticity on social media, but it's kind of the fake authenticity where I'm going to say outrageous things and then just be able to say, well, I'm keeping it real and authentic. But you're kind of being authentically someone else, right?
Yeah.
When you show up every day, you build that know, like, and trust factor. That's where the attention comes back in, where you're communicating to your ideal clients on a regular basis. I call it the law of the few. Whereas a lot of people want more attention, more eyeballs, more likes, more views, more shares. I want a few because I'm focused on the people who want what I have to offer and who I can help. And so I don't care if 100 people view my video. I want the 2 that are in line with my ideal client persona who want what I have to offer and align with my why. So those 4 pillars again are attention, accuracy, alignment, and authenticity.
I like that. And I heard a lot of stuff that I really connected. I also heard that kind of circles like you're not just, when you get to authenticity, that's the end of the cycle.
Right.
You do need to cycle back to attention, making sure you're still accurate, making sure you're still in alignment. And I think what I heard too was alignment is really key, because the number of likes that you get, for example, on social media does not necessarily mean that you're in alignment. It could mean that you've hit the sweet spot for bots.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of people who will watch your stuff. It's like on LinkedIn right now, polls are hot. And so I'll do regular polls, but I keep them intentional about related to my impact story and how I help people. Some people are LinkedIn, hey, what's your favorite color of shoelaces, just to get more likes and views and eyeballs. And it's funny is that what I've learned on the polls is there are people who will vote just to vote. They click anything. There are people who will click anything, and that's fine. But I really want the people who I'm going to be able to help and who want what I have to offer. And something you mentioned that's right on is that it's a continuous process. And you're constantly learning, because within that accuracy, there's the people, but you're also going to find some niche industries. I spoke to the CFA Society, which is Chartered Financial Analysts, so financial advisors. And I spoke to them, and I got, by the time I was done, it was a virtual presentation, and they had like 20,000 people in their virtual conference. And by the time I was done with it, I had 200 LinkedIn connections just from my presentation. Well, upon having those conversations, I just go, oh, wow, I have a new niche industry. But within that niche industry, it's not every financial advisor who I align with. And so I've determined, okay, and it's great. When you look at the person, it's funny how you can apply that person to different industries. So the person who works at me is basically the same. So when I discover new industries, it's almost like plugging the same person in to the different industry. So that hence the important, but you learn that as you go. And your impact message today is hopefully going to change over the coming months and the coming year as you have sales conversations with people. Those are the best learning experiences you have, because maybe you learn, you know what? I wasn't speaking to what my clients want. I keep hearing this from my clients. I'm going to tweak this a little bit. Now, have enough
Right.
data to go on. Don't have one conversation and say, oh my gosh, this is a disaster. I'm changing every single day. Have some data, have 30 days of conversations, right? And then look and say, all right, like I used to have in my my impact message, instead of right message, right clients, right revenue, I said, I help businesses increase their authority brand exposure. What I learned was that word brand was left too much to interpretation. So
Right.
I already got my website, I already got my logo. So I took that out of message clients revenue. And now people are like, okay, who doesn't want more revenue?
Exactly. And so what I hear, oh, you know what? We're going to pause here because this will go into a nice long conversation.
Great.
We're going to pause here for our commercial break from our sponsor. And then when we come back, we'll continue this conversation.
Hey there, it's Terri Levine. I just wanted to pop in for just a moment as you're listening here to Heart-repreneur Radio and watching Heart-repreneur TV. We have so many new and exciting things going on. So you can watch a free masterclass. Highly recommend to get a conveyor belt of qualified prospects. That's at TL, like Terri Levine, tlwebinar.com. Head over there, enjoy it, keep listening and sharing the show.
So welcome back to Heart-repreneur Radio and TV. We're with our guest, Curt Mercadante. And Curt, I want to make sure that our listeners know the best way to be able to connect to you. How can our listeners connect with you?
Well, I have a blog. That's the easiest thing because my last name is hard to spell. So actually, if you go to Curts Blog, Curt with a C, so CurtsBlog.com, I blog there regularly. And the reason I launched that was because it's so easy to spell. So curtsblog.com. And from there, I put up regular content, but you can also find your way to my various websites and podcasts and all that good stuff.
Perfect. That sounds great. Okay. So you were talking about how you were able to transfer your ideal client profile from one niche to another. And you also had mentioned earlier about how even when you're talking to a corporation, you're still talking to a person. And what I took that is your ideal client can sometimes be an ideal leader inside of a corporation.
Yeah, absolutely. And to that point, leadership is a big part of your brand, especially when you're within companies and leading, because you communicate. I joke around, I have 4 kids. I have a brand to them. And so I like to define the word brand, by the way, as how you influence others and others influence you.
Okay.
And with part of that, leadership is key. I learned to that point within some clients I had. One of the reasons that I shut down my agency was I worked with a lot of companies where the leadership was draining. And even though I wasn't there on site, it's kind of like this toxicity virus, right? It like will infect you. If there's a leader, the people below and working for that leader, with that leader, get infected, and it can infect you even over the phone. It's the type of thing where you're on the phone with them and it's just like that energy, that negative energy. Some of my clients were 1,000 miles away and I'd get off the phone and my day would just be ruined. And then because it's just dour, fear-based culture in many cases, that translates and rolls downhill to every consultant, every client. And so that, it was like there were days where, I built my business to have freedom. A lot of people build their businesses to have freedom. But what I realized, I built a prison instead because I'd go out for a walk. We lived near the beach at the time. And it's like I'd go out for a walk and I'd be nervous that my client knew I was going out for a walk. And it was like, I joke around, it sounds crass, but I had one client, the energy just didn't match up. He would only call me, and we tested this, it was true. He would only call me when I was in the bathroom or in the shower. And I told this to someone else and he's like, yeah, right. So I started tracking it. I don't know what it was, but these clients were like mad that you weren't there to pick up the phone. You feel like there's hidden cameras around. They know what you're doing. Hey, I'm going to go down. I'm going to go have lunch with my wife. And it's like, but they're going to know. They're going to know that leadership, good leadership and bad leadership, they both roll downhill.
Yes.
And so, but they'll infect everyone around you.
And that makes a lot of sense because, and the one that ends up impacting the most is the people that are most important to you. Right. So that makes a lot of sense that you want to be connected with you want your target audience to be the kind of people you actually want to work with, so that you wake up in the morning going, I get to versus I have to.
Absolutely. And that goes to the why and being able to get up and, I've identified ideal client. There's a number of ways. It's like not only the people who are going to pay you money. That's where a lot of people stop. I had a client once who told me a joke as we were going through the ideal client thing. And he said, first you said you were thorough, Curt, but the questions you're asking are like, he said, this is like psychic hotline. And we started laughing. And as we went through the process, he got it. And he told me this story once. He had a friend of a friend who was like a makeup artist or cosmetic artist. And he said, well, who's your ideal client? And she jokingly said, anyone with skin. And I said, unfortunately, that's like the answer I get when I ask so many business owners, who's your ideal client? Well, anyone with skin, all God's children. It's like, let's get a little deeper with that. So it's not just the people who are going to pay you money. It's people who want what you have to serve. To your point, it's the people you want to work with. It's people who treat you like a trusted advisor instead of a vendor, that don't treat you like the hired help. That, there's a whole number of things, to your point, where you wake up, it's like, I get to work with these folks today instead of, oh my gosh, I have to work with these folks. And you're right on with that, because identifying your ideal client is important for branding. It's important for sales. It's also a mental health issue.
Well, because you want to stay, granted, your choice to shut down your business and go on an amazing adventure with your family is kind of cool. Do you really want that to be the result? Or are you focused on like a holistic, healthy business, a holistic, healthy business owner, holistic, healthy business clients? The other thing that I heard you say is you were talking about how you changed your messaging from what you offered as a product to what you offered as a result. And I think that's really important for our listeners, because at the end of the day, that is what your clients are looking for, is the result. Yes, they already know you do branding. They know that. But what is branding going to give them? What is the product going to give them? And at the end of the day, like you said with the Tesla, I'm a green person. However, I really did like how fast that thing went. When my little Chevy, she thought she was a Corvette. So it hit that passion button, that excitement button, the things that, one of the things that gets me kind of jazzed was that excitement, right? And so that's what I'm hearing is it's really important to connect to what it is that is important, not just the why, but what it is that's really important to the person you want to work with.
Yeah, I had a client come to me, and he worked in a gym. He was in his 40s and an elite personal trainer. And he wasn't the type of trainer with like muscles bulging and all that type of stuff. He worked on movement, and he for a variety of reasons, his gym was shut down in Chicago, and he said, I have to make a living. Like I have a girlfriend, I have this living in Chicago. I have to pay my rent and all this. Curt, I don't know how to do this. I need to build a virtual business. So the first thing we did, now he had taken some people on, and it was the type of thing where he's like, I'm going to take anyone on who's going to pay me money. And so we actually looked at it. We're like, well, what's the maximum number? These are hour sessions, virtually. What's the maximum number of clients you can take on while still having your sense of freedom and fulfillment? It was like 25. Okay, great. Where do you want to be? And he's like, well, I want to be at this much per month in 6 months, this much per month in 12 months, right? And it was doubling his revenue. Well, we started with ideal clients. And we first of all looked at his clients, and I said, okay, you said the max is 25. You're at 27 now, and you're not even halfway to your 6-month goal. So something's got to give. The ceiling is like there. So we looked at his ideal clients. He had a number of clients. He had, I think, 6 or 7 that he considered ideal, that were loyal, that loved what he had to offer, that would pay more for the service. So we connected the dots. It was funny. And he was one of the ones who said, why are we going to all these questions like about who they are, right? Woman, 55 to 65, divorced, Jewish, and a high achieving executive. That's what we determined his. Now we could get into why that was the case and where he was serving the area in Chicago and all those sorts of things, but he identified that.
Yep.
We put together a impact value package of pricing where he actually raised his pricing, lost a bunch of his clients, but raised his prices and doubled his revenue and turned into a 6-figure virtual personal training company within the matter of 3 months. But the other thing he did was he looked at what do those ideal clients want. And what you said is right on. Like, stop identifying as a job title or what you do, because people already know that. People already knew he was a personal trainer. So instead of going up and saying, hey, I'm a personal trainer, I can help you lose weight, I can help you do this, he went and asked these ideal clients, like, what do you actually want? And it turned out they didn't have in mind like a certain amount of weight they wanted to lose. They didn't have in mind a certain amount of weight they wanted to be able to lift. It was the type of thing where they were like, you know what? I just want to be able to fit into this nice dress around Christmas. Or I just want to be able to walk without hip pain anymore. It was those types of things.
Right.
Because he worked on movement with them. And some of the byproducts of that are you're going to lose weight so you can fit into that dress, all that. So his impact story, whereas before is I'm an elite personal trainer who's going to get you in shape, it was I help high achieving women look better, feel better, and move better. That spoke to what they wanted. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And so I had another client who had a bookkeeping company. It's like, bookkeeping is already in your name of your company. They know you do that. He worked with family-based companies. And when he talked to them, one of the things he started sharing was, I save marriages. People are like, how do you save marriages? Well, in a family company, one spouse maybe does the operations, the other spouse does the books. And it's like, hey, honey, I got to hire 3 people. Do you have the P&L done? No, I'm 3 weeks behind. Marital argument. So he saves marriages. And unless you're in that ideal client persona, you might be like, how do you do that from doing QuickBooks? If you're in that ideal client persona, you know.
And what I heard again, like especially when it came to your client who is the trainer, is you cycled them through those 4 pillars again. You got them to this point, and then you went back to accuracy. And so you've got this, what can we determine from this? And then took him to the next level. So it's kind of like, it's a curl. You're going like this.
Right. Absolutely. And you can build through that process. You might have a platinum ideal client, a gold and a silver, and you have different offerings that you come up with based on those conversations. And based on some conversations, as you're going through that sales conversation, which I call an interview call, because it's you interviewing your client, in your head, they're almost like, without knowing it, choosing their own adventure. Like, oh, based on what this person wants, they're probably a silver and they'd be right for my boot camp versus one-on-one, and so, like you said, it's that curl and it's all through that process, but it starts with that accuracy. But you're going to learn. You're going to find some new personas. You're going to learn more about what your ideal clients want all the time. And you should constantly be learning through that process.
Exactly. This was amazing. I really enjoyed this conversation, Curt. I want to make sure, again, that our listeners have the best way to be able to connect with you. Can you share that again?
Yeah, if you go to Curts Blog, that's Curt with a C, curtsblog.com. It's easy there. I blog regularly. You can find all my other social media and website properties if you go there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time, Curt. I learned a lot. I connected to a lot of the information that you shared. And this was absolutely fantastic. I'm sure our listeners got a lot of value from this.
Well, thank you so much. I had a great time, and thanks for allowing me to share some time with you this morning, as well as your listeners.
So, and thank you. And when it comes to being able to connect with more Heart-repreneurs, we'd love to invite you to stop by Facebook and look up Heart-repreneurs with Terri Levine, and you'll be able to hang out with more heart-based business owners there, like Terri and myself and so many others. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe, like this show, and we always love those 5-star reviews. We will see you again next week.
You've been listening to Heart-repreneur Radio, maximizing your personal and business results by leading with your heart, with your host, Terri Levine. This show is produced every week for your enjoyment and education. To make sure you never miss a single show, add us to your favorite RSS feed or subscribe in iTunes. You can also read Terri's latest blog posts at www.heartrepreneur.com/blog, or follow Terri on Twitter at MentorTerri, and on Facebook.com/Heart-repreneur Terri Levine. Your questions and comments are always welcome and appreciated. Send them to Terri on either Facebook or Twitter. Thank you for listening.